Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and welcome to StudyIQ. This Hindu paper analysis video. In the morning these videos come, in the evening the PIB videos come, and the PDF you will get on the Telegram channel of StudyIQ and on my Facebook group that I've given on the last page. So these are important data questions we are discussing these days. We are covering the past year's current affairs, and these all are going to be very important. The PIB lesson is also totally exam oriented, so please do not miss all these lessons and please share them and spread them so that many people can take advantage here. And 9th May it is, and let's start the lesson. These are the numbers there you can call and you can ask for these pendrive courses, and this is the website where you can visit, and this chat section is also available. And remember one thing, you see, we all are humans, and when we are aspiring for something we are making more and more mistakes. We are living in this stress, but you see, whenever you are making mistake, just remember a formula. Check yourself with a particular string of events. First, where are you? What kind of environment is this? What kind of surrounding is there? Is this influential? Is this positive? Is this encouraging? Or is this relaxing? Is this depressing? What is that? Because the kind of environment you would have, the kind of ambience you would have, the same kind of thoughts would run into your mind. That's for obvious reasons. That happens with all the humans. So these kind of thoughts would be there. If you are watching Milkha Singh movie, you will have courageous thoughts, you will have great ideas for your future, and you will stand up and you will not feel any kind of laziness or difficulty. And if you are watching simple comedy videos and you are just relaxed and you cannot make big promises and all, so these kind of things are there. So always maintain that your surroundings are very positive and encouraging and motivating. Second, what kind of thoughts are running in your mind, that is gonna dominate your working, because the same talks you would make and the same thing you would execute. So maybe you are demanding something else, you are aspiring for something else, but whatever you would do, that would bring the according result. So whatever you say, that is also very important. If some things are not happening automatically, then you have to change these things manually. If you are talking too depressive, then you have to change it by force. You have to make positive statements. It impacts your performance. So always maintain this particular thing, and always apply this formula. Whenever you have any kind of doubt, then go to an empty room, close your eyes and just think what comes into your mind at first. If these are encouraging thoughts in the start, then you are okay. If it is a planned way, organized thoughts way, then it's okay, you are good. But if you are not able to close your eyes and too much frustration is there, you feel angry, you feel anxiety, you feel anxious, and you cannot sit for a very long time, then certainly some things are going on very wrong with you. And go consult someone. It's not necessary that you consult a doctor. Maybe you can consult a psychiatrist or some anyone you can consult, but bring to the peace. Okay, your mind only working in the peaceful environment, otherwise your mind cannot work, and whatever you would think in the anxious situation, that would be devastating. Always keep a check here. This is the biggest psychological help for the students. Now these are the words that I found today, and the MCQs that I gave to you yesterday. Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action is the other name of a civil nuclear deal with Iran, and that is JCPOA, and Trump has withdrawn from it, and many consequences are going to be there in the near future. So D9 is the answer because it is not given here. Val Anand Ki, so these are Pulitzer Prize winners, not in 2019, before that. These are Pulitzer Prize winners. They were incarcerated by Myanmar administration in December 17, and for the Rohingya issue reporting. Okay, they were put into jail, not for not reporting. No, it is not correct. For reporting, they were put behind the bars, and now under the amnesty provision, they are freed now. Second third question is, what is serotonin? It's a very important hormone. It's a monoamine neurotransmitter in your brain. Whenever you are feeling depressed, go out, have a walk for around 1 hour, and you feel the difference. Serotonin is released in your brain, and that's why you feel calm, you feel less stressed, you feel relaxed. It's a very positive hormone, the most important thing psychologically for the humans, and it's a very important neurotransmitter. It makes these processes very smooth, and it releases the stress. and that is why it is called the stress buster hormone, and serotonin levels are low with the depressed people. So always this is seen. So it's a very important discovery when it happened, and now many other important researches are going on. So next, Pakkamalai Reserve Forest, that's there in Eastern Ghats, not in Western Ghat. You see the Tamil Nadu's state. Here are the Tiruvannamalai region and the Eastern Ghat hills. These Javadi, Chevroy, these hills are ending at this particular region of Tamil Nadu. So there this Pakkamalai Reserve Forest is there, and there this giant grizzled squirrel was found, and it is not critically endangered under the IUCN status. This is under near threatened category. So it is not critically endangered. So this is wrong, and the first one is also wrong because it is Eastern Ghat where it is found. Okay, Nilgiris are the joining points of Eastern Ghat and Western Ghat, and some hills which are found here, because Eastern Ghats, these are not a consistent range. All these rivers, east flowing rivers, they have created gaps in the Eastern Ghats, and the average height is also lower than the Western Ghats for the Eastern Ghat. So that is the important thing, and please go through all these important hills, Nalamalai Hills, Javroy Hills, Javadi Hills, and till this area of Palni Hills and all. So all these hills, you must have a look on the map. And this grizzled giant squirrel is near threatened, not critically endangered. So D is the answer here. Next, it is regarding the purple frog. It is an endemic animal found in Western Ghats. You see under the core data category, species are fishes, then amphibians, which are living both in water and on the land. And next number is for the reptiles like snakes, lizards, and these crocodiles, dinosaurs, and tortoise also. And then number comes for AVs, all the birds, and the last one are mammals. We are as a category, so we all are the part of core data group, and core data is a phylum. And these amphibians, they have these frogs, salamanders, and all these important animals, and they are at threat. Maximum threat is there with the amphibians, and they are also found every year in the Western Ghat. Some new species you would find, they would found. So their conservation status is endangered as per the IUCN conservation status. So that is correct, and these are called living fossils because they have been living here since the ages of dinosaurs 70 million years ago. So that's also correct, and it's relatively round in shape and compared to that other flattened frogs. So these all characteristics are okay with purple frog. UPSC asks these kind of questions every year. It puts all these characters and all these features of a particular animal, a particular plant, and it would ask about the conditions. So all are correct here. D is the answer here. Nasica batrachus Sahyadrensis is the name of it. The endemic species, the name is given on the region because Western Ghats are also called Sahyadris. So you see in this region these are found, and Western Ghat is the region. Purple frog, Indian purple frog, pig nose frog, it is also called because the nose is like the pig's nose. And they were described in 2003. Important tadpole is also famous for these animals, and then they grow into these sturdy and bulbous frogs which are round in shape. Next, INS Vishal. It is not recently commissioned. They have proposed that they will commission it in the next decade, and they have done an agreement with the UK government, and the HMS Elizabeth is there with UK, and that's the largest warship there, and we will imitate that, we will copy that in the Indian version. So that would be called INS Vishal. So it would be nothing, just the copy of HMS Elizabeth. Okay, we went to many countries for this production and for this technological help, but in the end we have done this agreement with United Kingdom. So this is the largest warship in India, not till now, but it will be. So we may correct it. So only 2 is the correct answer. First is wrong because it is not commissioned till now. It is going to be the second one after INS Vikrant. INS Vikrant is the first super carrier of India, and it is going to be the indigenous aircraft carrier 2 after Vikrant. So IAC2 they are calling it, and Cochin Shipyard Limited is gonna build that. So the third important shipyard limited this year, after Garden Reach Shipbuilders and Engineers Limited and Mazgaon Dock Limited, and third one is the Cochin Shipyard Limited, and it is going to be the aircraft carrier, and that is why the super carrier, and a very advanced system of aircraft launching, that is electromagnetic aircraft launch system. It is not like a simple runway on the ship. It is going to be the electromagnetic path from where levitating these aircrafts, they will take off. So this EMALS would be there. It's a very advanced one, and Catobar system is also going to be there, and it is postponed to 2030s. So they will commission it later in the next decades. And in the Daily Mirror newspaper, it was reported on 5th of May that India was in talks with United Kingdom to purchase the detailed plans for the HMS Queen Elizabeth R08 to use as the basis of INS Vishal's design. So that's the thing, and final agreement is not done till now, but they are in talks. Okay, so final agreement is not till now, but certainly it will be there with UK, that's for sure. Next, US threatens to impose more sanctions on Iran. One editorial has also come regarding this issue. You see, Iran has nuclear facilities. Arak heavy water reactor is there. Fordo fuel enrichment unit is there. Natanz fuel enrichment unit is there. So they may ask you about these units, that where they belong to. So they belong to Iran. And you see, there is a particular cap of 3.67% of the uranium material that is allowed under the civil nuclear deal. But now when this deal is no more there, so Iran is saying that we will go beyond this 3.67% is limited, and we may go beyond up to 90%, because 90% is needed for the atomic bombs and all. So although these things are very, very secretive, so nobody knows the actual truth, but they are claiming now that we will go beyond that. So it is totally flouting of the norms, and certainly Iran is not going to bow before America. And America's sanctions, they are also inviting international criticisms, like from China, Russia. They both are saying that these are very harsh sanctions and they should not be put on Iran. And we are standing with Iran. These nuclear deal should have continued, but now Trump is imposing all these arbitrary manners, and these are not good. So these details regarding the nuclear system, all these setups of India, pressurized heavy water reactors, the monazite sand, plutonium, uranium 235, uranium 238, all these things may be asked in this year's prelims examination. And the important bodies like IAEA, they are working on their headquarters, all they can be asked. So these things are going to be very, very important this year. Okay, very, very important. And all these international bodies covering all these issues and maintaining all the standards and all, these are going to be the most important ones. So please go through all of them. And Iran's economy is experiencing a big decline, and it is consistently falling for the last 1.5 years, and these things are going on. So 1 year after President Donald Trump announced the US's withdrawal from the nuclear deal, Iran's President Hassan Rouhani on Wednesday said that his country has decided to suspend parts of the agreement. They will not bow before America, and they are even saying to India that do not go with America, stay here. We are not going to follow all these instructions by America. America cannot dictate these terms, and we are importing 10% of our oil from Iran, so we are also forced at this particular situation. So in the editorial today, that thing is discussed, that whatever image that is there with the India-America relations, the truth is not there, because many trade and economic issues are there, tariff issues are there, and these sanctions are really there. So things are not that much good as these things are shown, and America is all for its interest in the 2+2 dialogue. Also, America showed its sales pitch only, and not much cooperation is seen on the ground. These are only moral talks and only moral supports and all, and strategically and from the trade point of view, America is not much supportive for other countries, especially for India. And now with these sanctions, and we are not able to get the waiver, so these things are openly visible. Okay, August 7, US reimposed a first set of sanctions that targeted Iran's access to US banknote and key industries. That was last year. And November 5, the US reimposed a second package of sanction aimed at significantly reducing Iran's oil exports and cutting it off international finances. And now US threatens to impose more sanctions on Iran. So it is going to cut off Iran from all the areas of the world. So that is the aim here if Iran is not going to bow down here, but Iran is saying that we will certainly fight this issue, and these things may escalate to a newer situation, and that's really going to be dangerous, because they are planning to put more stakes on the nuclear setups, and they are appreciating them now. Next, firms missing from database MCA 21 is an highlight. It was by Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and it's an important web tool where all these data of all these corporate houses and all these are given, and according to their audited accounts, India accounts, its GDP numbers. Now a big revelation is there that in these MCA 21 data, normally it gives audited data, but for the 36% of the firms, these do not exist. Their accounts are not audited. So how they can include these numbers? And really these are big problem. And if the data of the GDP is flawed, then nothing can be much more scarier here, because already many allegations are there on the present government, and the GDP methodologies and all, they all were changed, and what kind of ways that they are applying now, these are inviting many suspicions and allegations. So now during the election time, this important revelation is there that MCA database was showing these numbers that 36% of the firms, they were not working, or maybe their accounts were not audited. So how can they rely, and how can they release these big numbers of GDPs? So maybe many big articles will come on this issue, and maybe these can be a situation where whatever data, whatever progress we are observing, these data are not for real at 100% level. So that's important, and we read about this MCA 21. It's an e-governance initiative of Ministry of Company Affairs or the Corporate Affairs. There is a registrar of companies and the regional directorate under this Ministry of Corporate Office, and there this web domain MCA 21 is available. It's an end-to-end holistic e-governance project. It's a PIB data, and the project has been running successfully for 9 years now. And ministry has been taking continuous steps for improving government to business and government to citizens services. So it is regarding the e-governance services, and especially for the corporate areas. These are the benefits given on the website there, and it is actually checking all the accounts and audits all these issues according to the Companies Act 2030 Companies Act, and the Limited Liability Partnership Act of 2008. All these statutory provisions, they are checked with these companies and corporate houses by this web tool. So this is a very important tool, and it is making all processes very smooth and fast. So they may ask you about that. Next, income support and UDES driving fiscal slippages. RBI is saying this data. NK Singh, the chairman of the 15th Finance Commission. This Finance Commission, according to Article 280, set up by President, and it will go for 2020 to 25. So NK Singh is the chairman, and he always talks about these FRBM issues, fiscal deficit issues, fiscal targets and all. And now important revelation is there that UDES scheme, the UDES scheme, the Discom Augmentation Yojana, that particular scheme was already putting a lot of pressure on the state fiscal deficits, because they took a lot of loans, they raised all these loans, and because of that a lot of expenditure is additional, and that is why the fiscal deficit is rising a lot. And now the income support scheme, their contribution is also rising heavily. So these are all revenue expenditures, these are not capital investments, these are revenue expenditures, and these are mainly unwanted. So they are rising the fiscal deficit for the states and for center both. You see, according to FRBM Act of 2003, this 40% debt to GDP ratio is allowed for the central government, and 20% is for state government. So combinedly 60% is allowed, but now it is rising more than that, and in some states it's too much. Now two important regions, UDES scheme and the income support schemes, these are giving a slippage here, and all these debts are rising with the states and the government. So that's very important. So UPSC certainly may ask you directly in these options. Okay, next, a new species of pit viper. Pit viper is a specific snake, and you see it makes a sound like viper. So it releases hemotoxin poison. You see, these poisons are specific kind of proteins, and what it does, one is hemotoxic hormone poison, and one is neurotoxic poison. Neurotoxic is there with the king cobra, the fine example. What it does, it actually damages all the nerves, important nerves, especially the diaphragm nerves. Diaphragm is responsible for our breathing when this nerve of the diaphragm, which is going till our brain, till our hippocampus, if that is damaged, then we cannot breathe. So we die of asphyxiation. Asphyxia is the inability to breathe. So die of asphyxiation by neurotoxin, and that is by king cobra. And these pit vipers release hemotoxins. They coagulate the blood. You must have seen when we put the curd drops into milk, then what happens? Its protein gets coagulated and the water is separated from the protein part of the milk. So in the same way, the blood becomes like water, and these are hemotoxins, and these are released by viper snake. So these are important characteristics which may be asked. So this important new species, according to the DNA analysis, it's a new species that is found in Arunachal Pradesh. So they are giving it a name, Trimeresaurus arunachaleensis. Okay, arunachaleensis. So this is the name, and herpetology is the branch of studying about the snakes, and snakes are under the reptilian category. As I told you, Squamata is a group of the snakes under reptiles. So these things may be asked. All the snakes and all these important categories are under Squamata group. Okay, tortoise group is a different one. WHO next, for eliminating industry produced trans fats by 2023. Trans fats, you see, there are saturated fats, there are unsaturated fats, and there are trans fats. The most dangerous are trans fats. They accumulate in your arteries and all these vessels, and the issue of hypertension and all these coronary heart disease, they bring dangers like heart attacks and all. So these are done by trans fats. They are deposited in your vessels, and saturated fats are more dangerous than these unsaturated fats. Unsaturated fats, these vegetable oils and all, and they are the least harmful products. But many studies are going on, many other revelations are also going on, but according to their deposition, the unsaturated fats, these are the most useful, and saturated fats, the normal fat, the dairy products and all which are having. So these are solid at the room temperature. Vegetable oils or these unsaturated fats, these are not solid at the room temperature. Okay, not solid. Why? Because there is a single bond in their fatty acid chains, and there are double bonds in the fatty acid chains of the saturated fats. So saturated fats means double bond. There may be a single double bond, means monosaturated fats, and there may be multiple double bonds, means polysaturated fats. You must have heard about all these words. So monosaturated fat means one double bond, polysaturated fats means more than one double bonds, and no double bonds, single bonds means these unsaturated fats. Okay, and these are all fatty acid chains, and trans fats are created by hydrogenation of these two. So you must have heard about the dalda fat, that is a trans fat, because it is procured by hydrogenation of these basic fats, and these are not very good for the health. And the industrially produced trans fats are much more dangerous. They are found in these junk foods and all these preserved foods and all, which we are eating too much these days. So these are killing people every year. Now by removing these products from the market, WHO is saying that we can save more than 5 lakh people globally every year, because these heart disease, they are happening because of these junk food, the waste, the shit that we are eating, and very, very dangerous. Kerala some years back brought this important tax on these kind of fatty junk foods. So these things are really necessary so that we can end these uses. Otherwise they are going to kill our generation, and many diseases like cancer, heart disease, they will be the biggest dangers of our future. Next, Deva Tribesman. These are found in Karbi Anglong district of Assam. You see the Assam's condition is that this is Assam and this is Karbi Anglong district. Okay, and Deva tribes is found there. Vanchua is the festival that they are celebrating here, and it's a harvest festival, and they want to protect their crops from the pests also. So for that also they are celebrating this Vanchua festival. So you can see in the picture many times these Deva tribes, they have appeared in the newspaper this year. So this year they may be asked. Next, About the articles, it's a political one, we will not discuss that. It's a repeated one. Many times we have discussed the CGI issue and how these things are problematic, why natural justice is not followed there, and why things are mysterious. A lot of scrutiny has been there. So we will not waste our time again reading about the same issue. Same points are being raised here by Ms. Raj here, and she is saying that the Sexual Harassment Act 2013 is the most important act, and according to that, equality should have been maintained, but here the Supreme Court is using all the privileges, so it is not necessary that we discuss this issue, otherwise it's important for GS paper 2. And the Circle of Life, it is about the species extension and the unsustainable life that we are living, and the dangerous future is there for us. A very important article for GS paper 3, and a very important topic for essay. So this is the most important thing. Next, alternative dreams. It's a political one, no need to discuss this. Wake up call on proprietary seats, the most important article here. GS paper 2 would be important here, the most important one. We will discuss that, and we will briefly discuss this issue also. Most of that I have told you regarding the Iran's issue and the waivers issue here. So they all are telling that the relations between India and America, they are not that much great today. So GS paper 2 would be important here. We will discuss that. Others are not important. Taking tension seriously. Here the writer says that these Comcasa 2+2 dialogue and all these strategic closeness and all, whatever we have experienced in the last 1 year, these are positive signs. But now you see in the 2+2 dialogue, also in other Comcasa signatures also, we saw this, that America is all for its sales pitch, and it wants to put us, entangle us into these legal issues so that it can dominate the scene there. That is totally apparent now, because wherever there are interests of America, it is only taking care about its own interests. Okay, so we have to move cautiously here, because things are not as much good as they are seen. The issues of e-commerce rules which came in February month against these FDI norms for B2B, B2C businesses, and there these American giants, that Amazon and Flipkart, which is now under Walmart, so they are facing a flag there. So they protested against that, and after that the GSP termination for India, that was there, and they announced it, and now the period, the particular review period is also over, and intellectual property rights are also there between us. So things are not that much great, and a full-fledged strategic partnership. Okay, these you see, which both countries should have endorsed, will be difficult to achieve amid such multiple and long-standing disconnects on the trade and economic side, because these things are visible. And now whatever we were saying that India is putting a lot of pressure internationally, and we are the most important country, and all are bowing in front of us, but the reality is seen here. We are not even able to take waivers from America for our import needs from Iran, because the pressure it is putting on Iran, that is way more important for America than the friendship with India. It wants to take all kinds of advantages here. It wants to use this Indo-Pacific region. It wants to establish its bases there. It wants to create a lot of development here according to its needs. The ARIA Act is also very, very important here, where it talked about the Asia-Pacific region, Reassumption and Initiative Act of America. So this was also regarding the Indo-Pacific region. So here it tried everything, it proposed everything, but when it comes to these waivers and the interest of India, it is not giving us the edge. So what is the meaning of this show off when we are bowing down every time? And it is certainly a compromising state for India, because it is putting a lot of pressure, where China, Russia and all these countries, they are with Iran. They are saying that these sanctions should be lifted, and we are not seeing anything against that, and we are we have now stopped importing oil from Iran. So in a way we are totally with America, and for the last 2-3 years we are entwining more with Israel, America and their particular group, and the Japan, Australia, America, India, the Quad group is there. That has become much more important. India has launched its Indo-Pacific wing in the External Affairs Ministry. So these all things, Malabar exercise, these all things are closeness with America and these countries countering China. So there America is ready for everything, but here when it comes to these waivers and all, America is not ready for anything. So that means it should be beyond the security issues, and these strategic security issues, they should be robust and equality should be there, but equality is nowhere there. It's only the dominance of America in this far-flung region. In the Middle East, whatever it is doing, its own affairs of America, but here it is putting pressure on us also. So we need to rethink all these issues internationally, because you see at one side there is America, the largest partner for trade for India, but these things are not that much good, and the issues of IPR, e-commerce policies, trade tariffs, all are there. Now the sanctions are there, GSP is also terminated by America, so all these things are there. So things are not that much good. Here we are losing China, Russia, and all the regional countries, because the BRI is not acceptable to us. We are not able to clarify these issues of CPEC with China and Pakistan both, and the issues are not settled in this region. So you see the dilemma for India, that which way we should move. And some experts say that we should focus more on Asian region. We should focus more on settlement with Pakistan, China, and Russia, China, India. They all should come on a same page. But America is nowhere ready to send India to that particular group. It is doing everything to keep India away from these countries. You see, this thing is visible, totally visible. Next, a wake-up call on proprietary seeds. Proprietary seeds means some seeds, they are patented by some companies, so they are under proprietary category. These are not available for free. How India can shift its agriculture from high yield ideals to a high value ones? You see, the writer says that high yield is our aim after the green revolution, and whatever is possible for the farmers, they are doing it to get the high yield, because that is the only way they can earn something. And this rhetorics of doubling the farmers' income and all, in these aims, these things can only help. But the real issue is that we are losing the value. We are making adjustments here for these high yields. Farmers are already stressed. These poor people, they are stressed. And you see, the writer says that what should not be a source of pride, however, is that fact that so many small farmers are like the ones targeted by PepsiCo, reliant directly or indirectly on proprietary seeds, because they want high yields, and mainly these high yield varieties, they are patented by these biggest companies. What are these biggest companies who are running this agricultural business in this world? I'm telling you, the Monsanto, DuPont, Syngenta, all these companies, they are actually ruling the agricultural scene of this world. Otherwise, these farmers, they are just doing their subsistence farming. Not much. These are not commercial farmers in most of the regions of the world, and these are the companies which are ruling the world. So they are very smart, and that's why agricultural research is not funded by governments, because these companies, they feed these governments with the money, and they are bribing most of these governments, and that's why they are not putting any kind of emphasis on the real agricultural research and all. And these are the real solutions. Real solutions are not the income support systems. Real solutions are agricultural research and all. But that is not done, because these countries, they need to survive there. So this is their game plan, and they have patented many of these seeds and all these productions and all. And in the end, the farmers are stressed. Farmers are devastated. For these genetically modified varieties or some specific upgraded seeds, they are making adjustments with their own land. What happens after that? Every time they need to buy these seeds and all. Second, they are making adjustment in their own land. Maybe for 1, 2, 3, 4 times they will get high yield, but after that there is no guarantee of high yield, and they have made adjustments. They have altered the anatomy of the soil there, so other crops will not be useful. They will not be able to grow in that particular land, because that is adjusted according to the high yield varieties. So how they are trapped? You see, they are trapped that they will buy every time the high yield varieties, and they will be bound to buy these, because no other crop would grow there. So this is so smart and scary. Smart for these companies, scary for the farmers. And here you see, the writer says that the just opposite thing should be happen. How? That these seeds, high yield varieties, they should be adjusted. They should adjust according to the local land conditions. But here the farmers with their lands, they are making adjustments. So just opposite is happening, and just opposite should happen. So this is very, very unfortunate, and we are putting a lot of emphasis on these high yield varieties. We are not giving importance to the value, the high value ideals. We are putting emphasis on high yield ideals because we are only targeting at one goal, but we are not thinking about the losses, what kind of loss would be there, and this loss is very, very important. Here in this PepsiCo case, where the Lay's chips, they were made of a specific potato, and those potatoes, they were grown by these poor farmers because they wanted high yield and they didn't know about all these legal issues and all, so they got some good yield and they were happy. But now this company, it filed a suit against these poor farmers. Now a very a popular protest erupted and elections are going on, and that's why these farmers were very lucky, otherwise they would not have supported for sure. But because these elections are going on and all these pressures were there, the public relationship disaster happened for the PepsiCo company and it backtracked. Now farmers are safe, but there is no guarantee of the safety in the future. In 2011, PepsiCo brought this FC5 in India, and this is also called FC 2027 variety of the seeds, and they were growing these chips and all. And it was in 2016 that it registered the particular variety of seeds under this Act of 2001, the Protection of Plant Varieties and Farmers' Rights Act of 2001. You see, when this act came, the very next year we came up with this seed policy of 2002. Before that, we brought it in 1988. Not many provisions according to this IPR issues were there in this 1988 Act, but many were added in the 2002 policy. Actually not act, these are the policies. So in the 2002 policy, the authority was established according to this particular act, favoring these companies, okay, because they are the ones, they get the patents on these varieties and all, and these are not the farmers who are applying for the IPR issues, these are the companies. So these acts are working more for the companies. So this policy came in 2002, and what were the important provisions here? You can see National Seed Policy 2002, last one was in 1988, and these 10 thrusts were given there. On the papers, farmers were supported, but in reality, companies were supported. The Plant Variety Farmers' Rights Protection, that authority was established. National Gene Fund was created. National Seed Board was established, and plant genetic resources for food and agricultural crops, these were permitted to be accessed by research organizations. So in a way, they talked about the agricultural research, but not much we have seen till now after 17 years. So the real solution lies with the agricultural research, and regarding that we had provisions, but we did not work, we did not execute these things. And you see, here farmers are blamed, but these poor farmers, where they would go? They are living a life of crisis. They are not getting yield in their fields, and anyhow if that is possible, they want to get some yield so that some things can be sold, and these crops, they may fetch them some good money, because they are not able to survive these days. They are not able to get the inputs which they gave in the farmers in these farms. So this is a devastating situation for the farmers, and here these legal suits, and that was totally unbelievable by that company. Maybe it had that patent, but what about the farmers? What about their poor condition? How they can go with it? What they would do? And we have seen many examples of the tomatoes, onions, that they are throwing it on the road, because already they are struggling with the low yield, and they are not getting the money for that. Maybe sometimes if it is a high yield, then they will not get the money. These crops would not be procured. So they are already struggling with many issues, and now the legal suit for the good production there, because they use some patented seeds. And you see, it's a part of our traditional system all over the world, especially in India, that we save these seeds for the next crop, and we may distribute it to some other farmers, and we normally help in a normal way, because we are not looking for the extremely profitable commercial gains. We are just going for our subsistence farming. So these are normally allowed, and according to this 2001 Act also, only selling with the brand name, with a new brand name of these seeds, that is prohibited. Otherwise, normally saving these foods and applying them into your farms and getting some yield out of that, that is allowed. But here it was an illegitimate case. They were not selling it with any kind of brand name or something like that. They were not doing any kind of business. They were not exploiting it commercially. They were just doing subsistence farming, so that some support would be there for them. But you see, all are very devastating things for the farmers, which are struggling already with the crisis. And you see, the important solutions which are given here, important suggestions which are given here. First, small farmers must be educated and encouraged with proper incentive structure. That should be done by the government, but how much they are doing it, that is to be seen. Second, immutable record keeping system. If they are using some new crops, upgraded seeds and all, then all the records should be there, and that should not be manipulated in any way. So for these solutions, we can use blockchain technology, where all these manipulations and these problems would not be there. Third, as a key prerequisite to the execution of the first two plans, India's valuable traditional ecological knowledge system need to be revived and made a part of mainstream agricultural research. As I told you, research is the main help, and our traditional knowledge that is always there, that should be appreciated, but we are more focused on its commercial exploitation. We are not giving it to farmers. We have seen patent issues regarding medicinal plants or other important traditional knowledges, but we are not caring it about the farmers' issues. They should be given these knowledges, and these things were there in the ancient Indian treaties like Vriksha Ayurveda, Krishi Parashar. These things were there. So these traditional knowledges, they should be appreciating the high value agriculture in Indian farmers, but these things are not being done. So these things should be done. These are the important solutions. Okay, so this is the huge article, and now we move forward. Circle of life. Here writer says, as I told you yesterday, IPCC, International Panel for Climate Change, it is working in the area of climate change. It is bringing these assessment reports, and this IPBES, it's a body working in the biodiversity area, and it is saying that many species are under extinction threat. What kind of life we are living? We are totally interfering with the natural systems. We have polluted oceans, we have polluted the clean water, the drinkable water resources. Rivers are nowhere in this world clear and clean. All mostly they are polluted. In India, 99% sources, they are totally polluted. Look at the case of Belandur Lake. It's a lake. It's supposed to be a clean water lake, but what is the condition? Smelly, and all the these chemicals, foams, everything we are observing with those lakes in Bengaluru. And you see, these are the iconic things that we have devastated so much that these things are irreversible. And now see, while ecosystem loses losses have accelerated over the past 5 decades universally. These things are happening universally. There are particular worry over the devastation occurring in the tropical areas, because tropical areas are the suitable conditions. There the biodiversity is too much, species variety is too much, all the plant varieties, all the dense forests, and with these dense forests, all the animal species, all these diversities are too much in the tropical regions. So they are at major scare and the dangers of the climate change. Because temperatures are rising, things are not supportive, more and more deserts are there, and they are totally impacted. So the threat of extinction for these species is too much. These things are already there in the higher latitudes, because there are low numbers of species and all already, but here these things are diminishing very fast. And you see, it's all the human impact. And next, losses from pollution are usually not factored into claims of economic progress made by countries. We are talking about our great growth, but what we have lost in gaining that growth, that is nowhere mentioned. We have lost a lot of things. You suppose if you invest 50 rupees and you can make a profit of 100 rupees, then your actual profit is of only 50 rupees. But if you mention it 100 rupees, then you are ignoring this input. So we are exploiting the nature, and we have to compensate for that always. And trillions of dollars is the value of that. So we always have to compensate in the future, but we are ignoring that. We are only talking about the progress, and nobody is talking about that. Elections are going on, but nowhere with a single instance we observed any kind of debate on this issue. Means that these things are not important for us. The coastal regulation zone issues, the rapid urbanization issues, and many other tribal rights issues and all, these are nowhere discussed. All dirty politics issues and just crude crass statements and nonsensical debates and foolish people speaking everything, just spilling, and it's all a dirt coming from their mouths. These things, these debates we see every day on the news networks and all. These things are missing. Nowhere we see these kind of things. Then how we can focus on these issues, and how we can be sensitive about these issues, how we can put pressure on the governments for these issues. When we put pressure, then they are working. But there is no issue discussed there, so the people do not know about these things. They don't care about these issues. So it's a very scary situation. And as yesterday we discussed that if these business as usual will go on, then the rise of the temperature, average temperature would be more than 4.3 degrees centigrade, and that's a huge number. A lot of devastation would be there if this becomes more than 4 degrees centigrade rise. Certainly many things would be devastated. If we see the numbers, 267 species are lost since 1980, tenfold rise in the plastic pollution, 44% of seabirds and marine turtles, 86%. These are affected, and 9% of the 6190 domesticated breeds of mammals, they are lost. So these are clear signs of devastation and a dangerous future, but nobody cares. And the biggest leaders like Trump, they say climate change is a hoax. So what we are heading for, what we are going to give our next generations. And you see some school campaigns we saw, little girls, they left the school and they were on the streets. They were demanding the future from our generation. Nothing can be more shameful that kids are crying for their future. They are saying that what you are giving to us. So these things are the most important things for this year, and for the mains, for the prelims, these things would be most important. So thanks a lot for today, and these are the important MCQs. Try to look for their answers and the additional data, and we'll meet again tomorrow. And the PDF you will get on the Telegram channel and on my Facebook group that is given here. So thanks a lot. Keep watching. It was Amit.